Srinath Anandi, Legan, Krishna, all these students are very sincere students who are regular attendees. And I had actually, I am currently in Hyderabad today in India, and I have one of my senior godfathers. Which was been postponed to 5 o'clock. So exactly it is clashing with this timing. I have told my master, he is one of my special masters. I told him that please give me a little break for me, 5 minutes, I'll do the needful and come. So I have invited another very senior preacher here. His name is Vikram Gauranga Prabhu from Pune. He is in touch with those youth reach in Connecticut, LA, Los Angeles. He's in touch with Devarat Prabhu. Vikram Gauranga is a very prolific speaker and exponent of Bhagavad Gita in India. He reaches out to many college universities in India here. So you got the third chapter 1 to 8 shlokas? Vikram Gauranga, you got it? In your WhatsApp? Yeah.
I have got it.
Yes. Yeah. You followed it? Yeah. So I will request Vikram Gauranga Prabhu to lead this class today, and I will come back as soon as my my duty for one of my spiritual masters is over. I'll come back here. This was unexpected. It was a last minute thing for me also, but you will have a very good time with Vikram Gauranga Prabhu, and this session is the third chapter starting. Very interesting chapter it is. It is about karma yoga. How you don't have to give up your actions, but how you can sanctify your actions, and like how to catch fish without getting wet, as we say. It teaches us we can do actions at the same time we can do liberating actions. So it will be very interesting. In case the session there gets late, I will miss to join this. But the subsequent week onwards, I will be coming regularly. And you all can ask your questions also in between if you wish to Vikram Gauranga Prabhu too. Okay? Thank you, Vikram Gauranga Prabhu. We have given you the co-host thing, correct? You can open and see whether you're able to open the PPT. You can share it, yeah.
Yes.
Let us see.
Are you able to see my screen too?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.
So you can put full screen. You can start with full screen. Full screen? Yeah. Now you can carry on. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome all the students, all the participants of this program for this very interesting discussions that we are going to have today. I know all of you have assembled to hear from His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu today. Unfortunately, Prabhuji had to go for another engagement. In case during the course of discussion, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in between. This session goes for how much time? Can someone let me know? What is the timing?
It's 1 hour.
1 hour. Okay, thank you. Begin with prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna. So this prayer that we have recited just now, it begins with Om Agyan Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. This is a prayer by a student to his spiritual teacher, He's expressing that I was caught up in the darkness of ignorance. And whenever we are in any dark situation, that automatically leads to some fear. Like right now, I'm in a room. Suddenly, if the lights go off, and if I hear some dangerous sounds, that will create a lot of fear in my heart. But as soon as we switch on light, then we see that the sound is not coming from any animal, but it's a smartphone that is creating some sound. Then all the fear goes away. So knowledge is compared to light, and ignorance is compared to darkness. To the degree we are in the ignorance, to that degree, the darkness creates fear in our life. But the spiritual knowledge that the teacher bestows upon the student from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, it enlightens his life. It brings in light, which drives away all the fear, all the causes of fear. So let us begin our discussion today. This very special scripture, Bhagavad Gita, that all of you are studying. I heard that you have completed the first 2 chapters. So today we'll begin with the 3rd chapter. We'll try to cover the first 8 verses of 3rd chapter. I just share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this is a summary of the whole chapter. The first 2 verses, they express Arjuna's confusion. Should we renounce or should we do action? Because in the previous chapter, if you remember, what is the last theme which was discussed? Does anyone remember what was the last theme discussed in the previous chapter? If you want, I can go back. Symptoms of a self-realized soul. Arjuna wanted to know, how does a self-realized soul look like? What are his activities? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he behave? And in conclusion, it was described that he is unaffected by situations around. So Arjuna felt that if a self-realized soul is unaffected by situations around, then is he really supposed to act? So should I just renounce or should I continue to act? That was his question. And verse 3 to 9, we'll discuss about Nishkama Karma Yoga, how that is better than Jnana for Arjuna. The further 10 to 16, we'll discuss about from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. Text 17 to 35, we'll discuss about Nishkama Karma Yoga to set right example. And text 36 to 43, discuss about the dangers of lust. So let us begin our discussion. Tyaga, renunciation or work, which is better? So 3.1, can someone read what is written on the slide?
Arjuna said, if wisdom is superior to work, why do you want me to engage in fighting this terrible war?
Yeah, thank you. So this Arjuna said that if wisdom is superior to work, why do you want me to engage in fighting this terrible war? Yeah. Next, someone can read.
Your contradictory instructions are confusing. Please describe a single path for achieving the highest good.
Yeah. Your contradictory instructions are confusing. Please describe a single path for achieving the highest. Actually, if we see, Krishna did not give any contradictory instructions. It was a perception by Arjuna which created confusion. Because Arjuna felt initially Krishna is telling we should work, and later he felt he's telling not to work, and that created confusion. So if you see the scriptures, there are sections of scriptures which discuss about various karma kandas. You do this activity and you get this benefit. You do a particular fire sacrifice and you get a particular material benefit. Somebody may not have child, they may get child by doing a particular fire sacrifice. Or somebody may want to go to heavenly positions by doing a particular sacrifice. So a major portion of Vedic literatures, they discuss about doing activities. Yet there are other portions of Vedic literature like Upanishads, they discuss about renouncing these activities of this world. And when the Western people, or especially Britishers, they came to India, they got confused by looking at the Vedic literatures. They felt that some part of Vedic literature is emphasizing on doing activities, and there is yet another part which says just do not do activities. So what are we supposed to do actually? This is the same confusion Arjuna is also experiencing. But what is the solution? So if you are standing at a ground floor, then acting based on karma kanda is like going to first floor. So generally most of the people, they may be living a very materialistic life like animals who are just focused on doing activities of eating, sleeping, mating and defending. But better than that is to follow the regulations mentioned in the scriptures and acting with proper instructions of the scripture as per dharma, you get the benefit of those activities and you can enjoy. That is like coming to the first floor. So from ground floor, I came up to the first floor. When Upanishads, they say that even if you are acting like this at this level, how long the material benefits will stay with you? Because this world is being controlled by time. Whatever we obtain today will be taken away tomorrow. Our body is controlled by time. We may be able to enjoy today, but this body will be gone tomorrow. So Upanishads, they inspire a seeker to come to second floor. They say that this world is like a very temporary thing. It's like illusion, and should try to come above this material pursuits in life and try to inquire about the self. Who am I? What is purpose of my life? Where am I going to go after death? So that way, that is the next stage. But interestingly, Bhagavad Gita, what is it recommending us to do? Should we come to the first floor or should we come to the second floor? So if you study Bhagavad Gita properly, we will understand Krishna is not asking us to just come to the first floor or second floor, but Krishna is taking us to the third. This third floor is you can continue to act, but not get affected by the reactions of your actions. You can continue to act, but do not get affected by the actions of your reaction. As Radhesham Guru told in the introduction, it's like catching the fish without becoming wet. There is a comment. It's the way we do it and our intentions behind it. That's why it is not contradictory at all. And certain, by removing them, gets you to a certain place, and then positive Krishna substitution. So thank you. Thank you, Jacob Anderson. You want to add something more to the comment that you have written?
No, Prabhuji, you can carry on.
Yeah. So Krishna is asking us to go to the third floor where we continue to act and not get affected by the reactions of the actions. So there are three things: karma, vikarma, and akarma. So karma means the activities which will give you pious results, good activities, charitable activities, some pious activities, and they reap you good results. Like somebody may give charity of books for education, and in return, he will be blessed by very nice opportunity to study in his life, in his next lifetime. Somebody may give a lot of charity of drinking water to people who are thirsty. And next lifetime, maybe he'll be born near a reservoir of water where he will not have any scarcity of water in his life. Or somebody may build many shelters for homeless people. And in next life, maybe he will have a lot of property uh, with him where he can stay and he can utilize it in many ways. So this karma leads you to some good results of your activities. Whereas vikarma are impious activities or activities which are sinful, which reap you negative results. As you sow, so shall you reap. So someone commits a sinful activity, then he gets result of those activities. And we can see that very well even in this lifetime. What to say of getting the results, negative results in this lifetime. For example, one of the sinful activity is to do intoxication. So people who do not care about such instructions or such, I would say, guidelines of God, if they get into intoxication, like smoking, and then they become chain smoker, and that leads to cancer. Although it is written on the cigarettes that it causes cancer or it is injurious to health, one becomes blind, not able to see the painful consequences of these vikarma activities. So I discussed about karma, which will give you good results, vikarma, which will give you negative results. But there is third thing called as akarma. This akarma is you do the activity and you do not get any material results, but you get spiritual benefits. You get spiritual elevation of your consciousness. So, as you have discussed the second chapter, you must have surely studied in detail the concept of soul, how we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. So, based on his pious activities, that is karma, soul has to take birth again to enjoy the results of those pious activities. If he does vikarma, impious or sinful activities, he has to take birth again to suffer for the reactions of those sinful activities. But if one does akarma, then in case of akarma, he does not have to take birth again to reap positive or materially positive or materially negative results. In fact, he can wind up the whole karma cycle which is behind him and he can go back to the spiritual world. So that is the gist of this action, inaction, and Krishna conscious action. So before I go ahead, anybody has any questions on what I shared so far? Or anybody wants to add anything? Is this clear what I'm trying to explain?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So very soon Krishna is going to explain how when we work for him, then we will not be bound by the reactions of our actions. Because he is like a person who has the super password. When I was working with one of the software industry, service industry, I had to work upon various softwares used in banking industry. So when I try to study in detail how do this banking websites and softwares work, I found one interesting thing that the ground level customer, the branch manager, area manager, and ultimately CEO and owner, all of these people access the same web page that we use as a customer. So there is a bank website that we have. There is a login name that they ask. They ask us to submit a password, the login credentials we enter, and then we get access to our account. So end user, the customer, will get access only to his account. He can only see how much money is there in his account, how much he has withdrawn, how much he has earned in interest. But the same fields, when the branch manager will enter his login credentials, he will get to see the accounts of all the customers in his branch. So I will be able to see only my account details. He can see account details of all the customers of his branch. Whereas area manager will get to see account details of all the customers in all the branches under him. And they even have right to uh, transfer money from this account to that account, from this customer to that customer. I cannot do that. And then the CEO or the owner of the bank, he will have access to all the accounts, and he has access to uh, transferring money from any account to any. He is like considered the super user. The super user password is with him, and I have only a limited. So same way, Krishna is like that super user. He can take care of all the karma. So if you surrender to him and act for him, he can do any changes in the bank accounts that you have. We on our own may not be able to do that. So it is explained that in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna and Duryodhana, both of them were doing the same activity, that is of fighting. So Arjuna was riding his chariot, Duryodhana was riding his chariot. Arjuna had his own horses and his own weapons. Duryodhana also had his own horses and his own weapons. And both were doing the same activity of shooting. But Duryodhana was getting more and more entangled by the karmic reactions, whereas Arjuna was getting freed from the karmic reactions. Example given for this is very interesting. I do not know how many of you have seen this magnetic tape recorders. So when I was small, we used to have a cassette player. There used to be a magnetic film which will store all the songs, and it will be a small cassette which we need to play in a cassette player. How many of you have seen this cassette player? You could just raise your hand or let me know on the chat. So the two wheels are rotating. One wheel is, oh, you have Vikas. Okay, Srinath has also seen. Okay, Jacob also. And so many of you have seen these cassette players. So if you see the two wheels, both are rotating in the same direction. Both are rotating in the same direction. But one is getting unbound, one is getting bound. So Arjuna is like that wheel which is getting unbound. All the karma that he had is getting cleared. And Duryodhana is getting more and more bound. Why? Because Duryodhana is fighting for his own pleasure, his own happiness, his own selfish interest. Whereas Arjuna was acting for Krishna's pleasure, for Krishna's happiness. So when you work for his pleasure, he being the super user, he can free you from all the reactions that will come. For example, some people say that, okay, before that I'll come to another example of karma. Imagine a soldier who is fighting on the border with the enemy country. And in the very crucial situation, in a very critical condition, this particular soldier, he shot down some 15-20 soldiers of the enemy country. And that was a critical move which led to the victory of this particular country. So when the soldier, he comes back to his camp after the war is won, will he be given any punishment for killing 15 to 20 soldiers of the enemy country? No. What to say of giving punishment? He will be given award. He will get some medals. He will be rewarded. He will be praised for his bravery. That he went, he took risk and shot down 15 to 20 enemy soldiers. So after the war is over, the soldier, he comes back to his hometown. with the same gun which he had used in the battle. When he comes back to his hometown, he has some fight with his neighbor, and out of anger, he shoots his neighbor also with the same gun. So will he be given one more medal by the government for shooting down his neighbor? What will happen?
He'll probably get arrested.
Yeah, he will get arrested. So what is happening here? The same action with the same gun. He shot people with a gun, and here also is shooting people with a gun. But in the previous case, he was awarded a medal. But in this second case, he is being punished. Can someone say why is this happening? Yes, Sudarshan. Share some.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
I have one question.
Yeah.
It's a very good concept. I think this is my answer to that. They're getting a medal for following the duties, and they're getting arrested later because they committed a crime.
Okay.
My question here is, suppose we follow a leader who leads us to the path of adharma, but we are bound by that duty. What happens to us?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Just to clarify a bit more on the question that I had asked, just wait, there is a comment. Because of his intentions that he is doing it for himself the second time. The first is duty and country. Very good. Similar thing Sudarshan also has told. So initially he was acting under the authority of government. Government told him to do certain thing. That's what he did. So he's awarded for it. In the second case, he is doing something against the laws of the government. He's doing it for himself, for his own selfish interest. He did. That's why he's getting punished. Now this question of Sudarshan is, what if we are acting under an improper authority, someone who is leading us to path of adharma, and you are doing your duty? Then what about that? So it's very important that before we start working under someone, we check whether the person under whom we are working is leading us to path of dharma or adharma. Because if he is leading us to path of adharma, we will have to face reactions of those activities. It's like following a blind man. A blind man is following another blind man who is heading towards a well. So there is a blind man who is going in the direction which is going to end up in a well. And if you also follow blindly that person, then he is going to fall in the well, because the leader who is leading you to adharma is going to face reactions. And because you followed him, you will also face the same reaction. And that's why we are studying this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so that we come to right understanding, we get the right knowledge. What is dharma? What is adharma? What is good action? What is bad action? And accordingly, I choose my activities so that I am rewarded and I'm not punished. We see the case of Karna. He was one way a good soul, but he chose company of adharmic people like Duryodhana. And he also had to suffer because of that. Whereas Arjuna, he chose to serve Krishna, even without having his Narayani Sena. All the army of Krishna was taken by Duryodhana, but Arjuna chose Krishna. I want to serve Krishna. I want to please him, and that led to his victory. Does this answer your question, Sudarshan?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So I discussed the concept of this soldier, and yeah, so Let us see for the part in the presentation now. The poems on the verses. Yeah. 3.3. Would someone like to read?
Krishna said, previously I explained there are two paths in this world. Path of intellectual analysis, jnana yoga, and path of active service, karma yoga.
Yeah. Thank you. So previously Krishna gave a brief description. There is path of intellectual analysis, trying to understand everything through one's intellect by studying the scriptures. And another is path of service, that is karma yoga. Next.
A person cannot attain spiritual freedom merely by withdrawing from work. It's covered up. From work, nor can it be achieved through insight alone.
Yeah. A person cannot attain spiritual freedom merely by withdrawing from work, nor can it be achieved through insight. So someone may say, okay, if work is leading to bondage, if work is giving me reactions, or let me stop work altogether. What is the problem with this? Can someone speak? Does it not appear very good idea that if work is leading to reactions, let me stop working altogether? What is the problem with that? Oh, thank you. Krishna Chaitanya was saying work is necessary many times for sustenance. Perfect. So we need to sustain in this world. We may say, I will not work, but some work we have to do because we all have to eat, we all have to sleep, we all have to survive. We cannot just end our life just like that. We cannot just live without work. Srila Prabhupada would say that this is one of the very special feature of a living entity, that constantly wants to do something. We cannot remain inactive. Even in the bound stage, right now we are bound in this material body, still we are so active. And spirit soul is actually very, very active because spirit soul is wanting to serve Krishna. But in this bound condition itself, we are so active and we cannot remain without. The world is made in such a way that we have. So I'll just give an example that some people, they argue that you spiritual people, you say that we should not kill animals. We should not eat non-vegetarian food because it involves violence. But even when you eat vegetarian food, that is also violence. That is also killing, you are killing plants. We are killing animals, you are killing plants. So how are you better than us? Have you heard this kind of arguments anytime? Okay, Jacob. Yes. Shared. The stopping work means nothing gets done. You can align correctly and get the proper results. And intellectual analysis is limited because much of the spiritual process can't be understood. It has to be felt within. Yeah. So we have this question many times by people that even the vegetarian diet that you take is also leading to violence. So we need to understand Gita doesn't say that just be vegetarian, because even in that there is certain, surely much less compared to killing animals, but there is certain violence. And that's why Gita in the third chapter, 13th verse will say, Yajna Shishta Sinasanto Muchante Sarvapurushi Bhungte Te Adam Papam Ye Pachanti Atma. When you eat for your selfish purpose, you'll surely get sinful reactions for that. Because Even in plants, we are killing them. But the good thing is, when we spiritualists who follow Bhagavad Gita, we are living our life, we will have to eat something. We cannot just fast. We cannot say, okay, if eating vegetables is also creating violence, let me stop eating vegetables also. Then what will we do? We have to eat something. So we do eat, but we offer it to Krishna. And then with his permission, we eat. We express that, yes, we have to eat something. And this is the minimum violence I'm causing as per your instructions. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you offer me the food and I will take away all the sinful reactions. I will give my mercy. And that is what you, if you eat, you can even, not only you will get freed from the sinful reactions, but you'll also get Krishna's mercy in the form of his prasad. So when you are eating vegetarian diet, one thing we should understand, the violence is much less. Violence has to win. That is the principle. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity has to eat another living entity for its survival. But we try to eat a living entity in which there is least violence, first thing. Second thing is whatever we can offer to Krishna. Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya parechati. If you offer me patram, leaves, pushpam, flowers, palam, fruits, toyam, that is water or milk, you can offer these things to me. And after I take away the sinful reactions, then you can eat. But when someone is eating non-vegetarian diet, Krishna does not accept, because it is a very evolved consciousness, and killing them incurs a huge amount of sin. So just by eating vegetarian diet, we cannot be spiritual. We can be spiritual only when that vegetarian diet is offered to Krishna. Yes, I will come to your question. I'll just explain one more concept and then I'll come to you. So, just yeah. So there is a, imagine there is a dog in your colony who's creating a lot of nuisance, and you call up the local municipal corporation to take care of these dogs, do something with this dog so that they do not disturb us, especially during the night. So when this municipal corporation people come, first thing they will do, at least in India, is they will check whether he has any belt in his neck. The belt generally is supposed to have the name or contact of the owner of the dog. If he has belt, then they will contact the owner and they will deal with the owner, the dog, the master of the dog, the caretaker of the dog. They'll ask, please take care of him, he's creating trouble. If he does not have any owner, then they will take him. They'll take him to some place and they'll take care of him, or whatever they want to deal. Similarly, spiritualist, as per Bhagavad Gita, he is like a dog who has accepted Master Krishna. And because he's working, he's acting on Krishna's instructions. Like the soldier I discussed earlier, he's acting on the instructions of the government, or this dog who is acting on behalf of his master. That even if some reaction comes, like this municipal corporation people came, they will deal with the owner. An issue comes, government will deal in the case of soldier. But if he's not having any master, he's just living independently on himself, then he has to face all the difficulties which come in his life. The dog without any master. So when we are not connected to Krishna, we are not offering our fruits of our activities to him, then we are responsible directly for the activities, whether pious activities or impious. But when you surrender to Krishna and work for him, he will take care of all the reactions which will come up. So there is a comment by Srinath. We need to perform our responsibilities. However, we need to include spiritual part of life into the priority to direct us in a fruitful end result. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, Yesh. You had any question or comment?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a question. So I think when you say before you eat food, you offer it to Krishna, right? So I think in one of the sessions that it was told that you have to keep a separate dishware for Krishna, then offer it to Krishna, and then give it some time, maybe 5 minutes, and then you put it in your dish, and then you start eating prasadam and treat that as a prasadam, right? But already, right, we're living in a fast-paced world and everything. Is it anything wrong that you use the regular or normal dishware and just pray to Krishna like Namo Brahmanaya, Hitacha, Go Brahmana Hitacha, Jagat Hita Krishna, Govindaya Namo Namo? Is it bad that we just normally say the sloka, offer it to Krishna, and then within 5 seconds we'll start devouring that prasadam? Or, sometimes I only had 20 minutes for lunch, and I was like, okay, let's put everything what I can in this dish, put this in microwave, warm it up, and just say some slok, offer it to Krishna, and then 5 seconds, okay, start eating it, right? So, is anything wrong in doing that, or do we have to have a separate dishware?
So, thank you. Very nice question. I'm happy to know you know the offering mantra also. Namo Brahmana Devaya Guru Jagat. My understanding is we should try to do whatever best we can in a particular situation that we are in. Because when we love someone, we pay attention to the details. So if we want to love Krishna, we want to express our love, we should also take care of the details, and we try to do it as far as possible. So if you are not able to arrange a separate dish for Krishna, it is best to have a separate dish for Krishna. And best thing is to offer it as soon as you cook it. So if you are cooking yourself, then once it is cooked, we in the yes.
Okay, understood. And one more follow-up questions. I think in Gita, I'm reading it right. I'm on chapter 7 as well. I try to read like one sloka. It's also mentioned that the food has to be cooked 3 hours before, right?
The food has to be cooked
3 hours before, or something similar to that. But what happens when you don't even know how to cook? You're relying on either food from mother, and sometimes mother will be like, okay, I'm making dinner right now, but I'm also making lunch for you as well. Like because I'm working tomorrow morning in early morning shift and everything, so I'm gonna make lunch and dinner at the same time. So I mean that lunch, even though I'll be offering next day, it was made like more than 3 hours in advance, right? So
yeah, good question. So this concept of if you have any food which is cooked 3 hours or before, then that is not in the mode of goodness. If it is cooked and after 3 or 4 hours, if you are offering or if you are eating, it is not in the mode of goodness. But if it is prasad, then we do not discriminate like that. If something is already offered to Krishna and few hours have passed, then we do not say that, oh, this is in ignorance. It is transcendental. It has the spiritual potency, which will surely purify us. The best practice is as soon as we cook it, we offer it. So even if you have cooked lunch for the next day, best is to offer it when it is cooked. It is hot that time, and afterwards you can just offer the prasadam prayers, honoring prayers, and that is how you can honor it whenever you get. So instead of offering it after taking our plate, the best practice is you offer it when it is cooked. If not in your plate, maybe in the same, like best is to have a plate for Krishna. If not, then in the vessels in which you have cooked, that you can offer, because that is more pure than our own plate. Does it answer your question, Yash?
yes, that does. Thank you.
Yeah. There are two comments by Jacob. Physical and mental health and loneliness is directly proportional to distance from the Lord. The closer you are, the better you feel. Yes, thank you. In case you could not offer it at home and do your offerings at home, then you can take to work. We do whatever best we can, and also we try to come to a better standard. If you pray to Krishna sincerely that I want to come to a better standard, he will surely guide you. He will create those facilities by which you can offer him better service. So let me move to the next slide. Yeah, so this we discuss. A person cannot attain spiritual freedom merely by withdrawing from work, nor can it be achieved through insight alone. 3.5. No one can refrain from action, even for a moment. Everyone is forced to act according to nature's qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we all are forced to act because of the modes that we carry. The mode of ignorance will push us into laziness, lethargy, procrastination, sleep, confusion, things like that. Mode of passion will make us work very, very hard to run behind the achievements, behind pleasures, to run behind flickering happiness. And it also creates a lot of attachment to the sense objects. And goodness, uh, one would like to acquire more knowledge, one would like to live a very free, peaceful, simple, happy life. So, based on whatever modes we are affected by, everyone is forced to act. We cannot remain without action. 3.6. One who externally restrains senses, but whose mind inwardly dwells on sense objects, is a deluded pretender. Yeah. So, so even if someone tries to control his senses, this question, by nature's qualities, it's referring to the three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. Yes. Yeah. So even if one decides that I will not do any act, but if the mind is dwelling on sense object, then he is a deluded pretender. He will not be able to continue his inaction for a very long time. And you can see there are two pictures here. There is on the bottom right corner, if you see, there is a sage who is inside water, who was doing meditation, and you can see there are two fishes. There are two fishes. There is a male fish and a female fish nearby him. So this is a story of Saubhari Muni. This appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Saubhari Muni had gone underwater inside a river so that he will not get affected by any pleasures of this world, so that he can control his mind and senses. So he was sitting inside water for long, long years. For a very long time, he was meditating inside the water. But it is said there were two fishes which were mating with each other. And by the sight of these two fishes who were mating with each other, he got so much agitated that he came out of his meditation, he came out of the river and went to a king named Mandhata and requested him if he could marry his 50 daughters. So we can see, although he went underwater where he will not have to hear any sound, he will not have so many disturbances of human beings and no pollution and things like that. But just artificial control will not last long. Same was the case with Vishwamitra. He was also trying to just close his eyes and meditate. And he was also disturbed by the sound of one of the apsaras sent by Indra. And another time, he got agitated by his anger on one of the apsaras. So just artificially controlling, because inside you have not become purified, inside you are not become cleaned up. Just externally controlling will be like a pressure cooker. Externally it appears to be very peaceful, but inside, because the flame is on, the pressure is getting built up. It is just a matter of time that the cooker will explode. So that's why Krishna is telling here that you cannot just artificially control your activities. We'll go to the last slide now. This 3.7. Mentally restraining the senses by detaching from the results and by positively engaging them in karma yoga is the superior approach. So what is the superior approach, Krishna is saying? You mentally restrain the sense. You see, the horses, these 5 horses of a chariot generally represent the 5 senses: ear, nose, tongue, skin, eyes. So you restrain the senses by detaching from the results and positively engage them in karma yoga. So instead of controlling them artificially, better you control the senses and engage them in positive activity. Positive engagement is far better approach than restraining. For example, if there is a child is having a knife in his hand, you know the knife is very dangerous for the child, because the child, he's never peaceful. He's always very active because he keeps moving his hands with a sharp knife in his hand. Anytime he may get cut by the knife. If you want to take away this knife, which is hurting the child, if you just try to forcefully take away the knife, the child will cry a lot. The child will keep crying and he will create another havoc. But a very easy way of helping this child out, can someone suggest what is a better way to help this child out? One way is you forcefully take away the knife. Can someone suggest a better way? Something that will not make him cry. Toy substitute, Jacob says. Thank you. Wonderful. You can give a toy, or you may give a pastry. You can give a cake. As soon as he sees something better, you immediately give up the knife and take that. Same way, the senses are very sharp. They are very dangerous. And artificially try to control, artificially try to take them away from the child is very dangerous. Better you give something positive. That is what is being told in this 3.7. By positively engaging them in karma yoga. That positive engagement will help him to stay away from the dangerous or harmful effects which the senses could create for his life. And 3.8, performing prescribed activities is better than inaction. Without work, you cannot maintain even your own body. Again, a similar concept, that it is better to work than staying inactive, because without work, you cannot even maintain our body. So we are close to 6 p.m. in India. I think this is the time to end. But before we end the session, I wish to ask if anybody has any questions or any comments, or you wish to share something that you learned today, you like or you like to apply in your life.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So in addition to the example given about the sage, so he artificially controlled the senses, and so once he saw the fishes mating, so he asked for the marriage. So that is also dharma, right? So he is moving from the sannyasa to grihastha. So is it a good thing, or so is it a bad thing? So that he asked for the marriage.
Okay. So his question is, the sage, he moved from a renounced order, sannyasa, to grihastha. Is it a good thing? Is it allowed? So see, this system of varnashram dharma is created to help a living entity advance gradually. So initially, one is a brahmachari, like what I am right now. Then brahmachari means he controls his mind and senses. He serves his guru. He learns spiritual education, elevates himself spiritually. And after that, if he feels the need of marriage, he's allowed to marry. Or if he wants, he can also go directly to sannyasa, like lifelong renounced order. After he gets married, he stays in grihastha ashram, that is household life, for 25 years. The first 25 years is the brahmachari life, that is called student life. Then 25 years he stays with the family and continues to grow in his spiritual life. Becomes regulated in his sense activities. And then at the age of 50, he turns to vanaprastha. Means slowly again he moves out of family. And when he has done that vanaprastha for 25 years, then he takes sannyas at the age of 75. And that's how he completely detaches from this world. So now, instead of just focusing on what is allowed, what is not allowed, it would be better to see what is my situation right now and what will help me to grow ahead from this. So if someone is a student and he feels he would like to marry, there's nothing wrong in that. And someone might have taken to renounced order like that sage, but we see the end result is he again got realizations. Initially, he was disturbed by that scene of betting on the fishes, and he also wanted to have many wives. Artificially, because he tried to control artificially. And when he got married and enjoyed with all these wives for a very long time, slowly again he got realization that there is nothing here. And again, he begins his spiritual practices. So in our case, what generally we do is we do not go for such dry meditations, such dry control of the senses, but our process is all about engaging our mind and senses in Krishna. Then that is a complete thing that will help him to sublimate all his material desires and grow spiritually. So whether one is in brahmachari or sannyas or grihastha or like householder, the main focus is on engaging the mind and senses in Krishna's service. So wherever he can do that, it is the best situation because that is the thing which will actually purify him, not just artificially staying in one particular order of life. Does it answer your questions?
Yes, probably. Thank you.
There is a comment. This is slightly off topic, but archaeologists recently discovered Krishna's lost deity of Dwarka that is sank into the sea. Many researchers continue to confirm all the truth in the Vedas and Gita. Yeah, a lot of research is happening. Many people are discovering through archaeological survey existence of Krishna. There is also interesting book written on historical evidences of Mahabharata and Krishna. Not just archaeological, but historical, astronomical. Many sciences, many fields of education are used to prove the existence of Mahabharata battle and everything related to that. I also like the child analogy. Yeah. There's one more analogy we give is of a glass. So if a glass is filled with some harmful substance, and if you want to get rid of that, or if glass is filled with air, you want to get rid of the air in the glass. If you create vacuum, that's not very healthy. There is always a pressure on the glass. The glass may crack anytime. Best is to fill the glass with milk. The air automatically goes up. So our activities are more about engaging in the positive activities of serving Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, studying Bhagavad Gita, serving Krishna with all our senses, engaging our mind, engaging our intelligence, everything in Krishna. And then you will see automatically all the problems created by mind and senses, they disappear because of the positive engagement that we have received. I thank you all very much for your participation. I know you all had come to hear from His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, but last moment Prabhuji had to go for another engagement. Just call me up and ask. I was not at all prepared to speak. I did not know. I just tried something. Help you. My endeavor. But if I spoke anything which was not proper, please again, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
If anybody has any question, they may stay back. Otherwise, we'll end this.
Prabhuji, I lost my host access. Could you end the meeting for all?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.